What's up, co-counsel Ali? I cannot believe you're up. But thank you for the support. Okay, so let's get started. I have to head to work in about 59 minutes, okay? Let us get started with a recap of P. Diddy against a really big government, VP Diddy, this past week. I thought, again, before Diddy went to trial, my perception was that he needs his family there, in the sense of the little girls have to be in the courtroom, front and center. And that is just a defense tactic, okay? It serves the purpose of potentially influencing the fact finders if they are swayed by emotions as opposed to facts. And also, in a sense, it could give the fact finder a glimpse into the defendant's personal life beyond the allegation. So that's why, from the very beginning, I was advocating for these kids to be in the courtroom. But little did I know that they would not have been able to withstand the graphic nature of the allegation. So it was reported that the kids stormed, that's hyperbole, but they left the courtroom in the midst of testimony. So from their perspective, I understand why they would do that. But from a prosecutorial perspective, the optics would not look too good for the defendant, because if it kind of just shows that the what is this? The allegations were too graphic for the minor. I don't. Are they minor children? I think they're teenagers. But the allegations were too graphic for them to listen to. Okay, so from that perspective, probably a bad defense move. And then we're gonna do a quick recap because you guys know I can overtalk and I do have to leave in about, I don't know, it's like 57 minutes. Okay, so let's get into the Cassie stuff, okay? We're going to do them in reverse chronological order. I'd have played a video here from Long Crime. I watched a little bit of Long Crime on Friday, not enough though. I had to split my attention between the Diddy stuff and what's old girl out of Massachusetts? I'm forgetting. What's her name again? Karen Reed. There we go. Karen Reed. Okay, so let us get back into the cross. I was primarily interested in the cross examination of Cassie because, again, these folks were in some sort of relationship, these folks being Diddy and Cassie. So they would know a lot more about each other, okay, as opposed to complete strangers. So apparently, it's being reported, okay, that the defense team started off by questioning Cassie on Thursday about her off and on relationship with Diddy. Apparently, this relationship spanned about 11 years, okay? And then the attorney showed the jury many messages between the two, including some that were sexually explicit. And this is probably going to go we're gonna talk about this, in probably 30 minutes or so. But it sounded like Cassie was, in a sense, begging for a freak off. Again, might be hyperbole, but there were messages. It's my understanding that there were messages between the two where Cassie was, I suppose she seemed eager to have another freak off. To me, though, and this is just my legal opinion, not from a lay perspective. From a lay perspective, that might be, that might be something. But from a legal standpoint, it's not that big a deal. And this is why I've said it before. Even folks that are married, people that have been married for extended periods of time, even under those circumstances, um, there in fact could be, what is this, allegations of domestic violence and even potentially an allegation of rape, and husband or wife could be convicted of that. So I did not, I mean, it's different. It's different in the type of things they were into, completely different. It's not something you see every day. But I did not see that to be that big of an issue. But if I remember correctly, I think it was Jesse Weber of the Law and Crime Network. It turns out that during some of this questioning, some of this questioning by the defense attorneys, one of the jurors shook his or her head when Cassie was questioned about these text messages. Okay, so again, the attorney showed the jury many messages between Diddy and Cassie. Some were explicit, some were sexually explicit, and others were about Ventura helpfully coordinating a freak off. And then that's my issue with the RICO charge as well, because nobody else is charged. So unless the prosecution is arguing, I suppose would have to go back to the opening statement. Unless the prosecution is arguing that the other individual in this case would have been Cassie, I do not see how they can sustain a conviction on that first count. I've not really been concerned with the first two counts. The third count, maybe they get a conviction, but the prosecution's case is still in its infancy. And it's also my understanding because on the first day, right, I wouldn't say shocked, but I was surprised to an extent that the big government pretty much they just hopped into it. There was no, oftentimes the prosecution starts off with some type of independent party or an investigator, something along those lines, or not even, it's rare for the prosecution to start off with a complaining witness. In this event, they pretty much just started off deep in the allegations. But I believe the reason for that is because Cassie is due anytime soon. But yeah, that caught me off guard. Anyways, let's move on. Okay, so the defense attorneys also asked Ventura about her drug use and pointed out how she often took drugs with Combs. And then the drug use, though, I do not know what to make of that from the defense perspective or from the defendant's perspective. Intentional, or what is this? Diddy's drug use does not absolve his alleged conduct here. It's not a defense. Intentional intoxication is not a lawful defense. But from the perspective of a witness, I see why that would matter to the defense attorneys because it could potentially undermine her credibility, right? Because to a certain extent, it can be argued that she's not a reliable witness. The biggest problem, though, it's that the surveillance footage of uh, Diddy kicking her up and about, and then again Don Richards taking the stand, testifying that he has witnessed Diddy attack Cassie. Uh, yeah, so I suppose it makes sense to a certain. And here's the thing: the defendant they don't bear the burden, so they can attack the prosecution's case from any angle. Uh, and then Ali, I don't know, is junior co-counsel asleep? Because if you have thoughts, you can certainly come up here and let me know what your thoughts are. And then we move on to the freak offs. Okay, so Ventura gave explicit details about the so-called freak-offs. She basically said that Combs would direct her and a male escort to perform sex acts. And then at some point, a text she sent to Combs was displayed. It said, "Nothing good comes out of FOs anymore." So I guess it's freak-offs anymore. "You treat me like your Ike Turner." Oh, okay. Ventura said Combs would hit her and that she developed infections and sores in the mouth. Oh my goodness. In addition to ecstasy and cocaine, she said Combs would supply ketamine and GHB. And that's pretty much what I talked about. There's a thin line between somebody or a victim, a witness consenting to engaging in sexual conduct that might be questionable to some other folks. But once they tap out, if they say they're no longer interested in doing this, then you pretty much cross the bridge into what is that, coerced conduct. Okay, so Ventura then testified that she went to dinner with Combs in August of 2018 to have a conversation about closure after ending their relationship. They were not together then, and she was seeing another man who is now a husband. Okay. She said Combs was nice and playful and romantic, and he brought her home. Uh, I'm not gonna get too much into it, but I'll move on from that. But I do have concerns about that. Okay. In any event, she testified that he then raped her in her living room on the floor. Ventura said she remembered crying and saying no, but Combs wasn't himself and didn't stop. So I guess the wasn't himself part could be good for the defendant to some extent. She said she was intimate with Combs one more time after the incident. I don't like the phrasing of that. Because, or at least I don't like the reporting of this. The reporting says that she was intimate with Combs one more time after the incident. Does that mean that it was consensual or not? Anyways, let's move on. When asked why she agreed to see him again, she replied they had been together for years and were very connected, and something you don't just turn off. It sounds like the Stockholm syndrome to me. All right, so let's move on to the 2016 hotel video. Okay, so security. Here's one thing I know, unrelated to Karen Reed, because this morning I was on Reddit. You guys know I spend time. I spend a lot of time on Reddit. But I was reading up on, Karen Reed, not co-conspirators, but conspiracy theorists, about the surveillance footage or the ring camera footage disappearing, as it relates to Karen, Jen McCabe, and I forgot the third, the third individual. As they were leaving, I guess the conspiracy theorists were trying to theorize about how the surveillance footage could have disappeared. But it strikes me that we have a 2016 video that has not disappeared. In any event, so the security video shows Diddy attacking Ventura in the hallway of the Intercontinental Hotel in Los Angeles, and it's a key piece of evidence in the trial. The video, obtained and published by CNN last year, shows Combs throwing her onto the floor before kicking and dragging her. And I believe it was either on Sunday or Saturday, I watched the unedited video. Okay, it was graphic. Graphic. I don't even know how to explain the nature of that surveillance footage from the perspective of the responding security officer that just stood there. And I mean, it's shocking, right? I'm not placing blame on this security officer, but he did not. I suppose maybe it's unexpected. I guess it is unexpected. You don't expect to walk onto something like that. In any event, so the video was obtained and published by CNN last year. And it showed Combs throwing Ventura onto the floor before kicking and dragging her. And then a former security manager for the hotel was the first witness on the stand. And he testified that Combs threw a stack of cash at him and said, "Don't tell anyone." I wondered, did they reveal how much money it was? I don't remember that. Ventura testified she took a selfie after the incident, which showed her with a fat lip and wearing sunglasses. She said she wore the sunglasses to cover a black eye. Combs texted her claiming police were at the hotel, asking her to call him immediately. Ventura testified. She testified she responded saying she was supposed to attend a premiere, but now had a black eye. "You're sick for thinking it's okay to do what you've done," Ventura texted. "Please stay far away from me." Prosecutors alleged that the assault happened during a freak-off, but Combs' lawyers, who sought to have the video excluded from trial, argued that it was a glimpse into a complex but decade-long consensual relationship. I don't know. That is a problematic. Problematic argument from the defense here. And then, I think it was last year when Diddy apologized for his behavior, and that was on video. From a defense perspective, that was a dumb move, but he did that anyways. Okay, so Combs is being held at MDC Brooklyn since his arrest last September, and then he's been denied requests for bail. I don't know why they're reporting about this. Then they had to talk about how Luigi Mangione is being held at the same facility. Then testimony again from Ventura. Cross-examination of Ventura resumed on Friday morning. Defense attorney asked Ventura about a message she allegedly sent Combs after the Intercontinental Hotel incident in Los Angeles. And then the text reads something along the lines of, when you get fucked up the wrong way, you always want to show me that you have the power and you knock me around. I'm not a rag doll. I'm someone's child, the message read. Okay. And then Ventura was asked what happened when Combs suspected of cheating in 2006. Combs had taken her phone. I'll read your message in a bit, Ali. Combs had taken a phone, the defense said. Ventura said the two of them were not in a great place at that point, that she was dating a professional football player and wasn't sure how Combs found out about it. The two of them were in a car driving to a doctor's appointment when Ventura told Combs she wanted to message her mom that she was okay. That's when Combs grabbed her phone, Ventura said. She testified she thought he did so because he wanted to get into the phone. The defense then asked about other times Combs took her phone. All right. So again, sounds like an unstable relationship, definitely not healthy. Alice says, I'm just curious how the feds decided who to bring forward as witnesses in this case and trial. Seems there are way more lawsuits than there are being brought in as victims or witnesses. I think that comes down to credibility. Definitely, who's this? The Cassie as a victim can be substantiated. What I mean by that is, again, as far as to whether her participation in the free cause was consensual or not, that's up to the jury to decide. But that surveillance footage from 2016, there's no way around that. Okay, defense can argue that it's doctored, they can argue that it's been edited, they can argue X, Y, and Z, but that surveillance footage speaks for itself. And then again, we have the testimony from Richards. She appears to be neutral in this case. She has no, at least from my perspective, it appears that she has no reason to lie that she witnessed Diddy attack Cassie. As for the other victims or alleged victims or witnesses in this case, that's kind of hard to say in the sense that under these circumstances, listen, when I heard that Diddy settled that case with Cassie the next day, I'm like, this man is screwed. Okay. And that's the same thing that we're kind of seeing with Shannon Sharpe to an extent, where it's revealed that he had made an offer of $10 million to a Jane Doe. Under those circumstances, once a because they're not criminal defendants, even Diddy was not a criminal defendant at the time, but once a defendant offers money, puts money on the table for allegations such as these, a whole lot of people are going to come out. As to who is credible and who's not, that's going to take, the civil legal process to see how folks withstand depositions. And depositions is basically just questioning of an individual, be it a witness or just an expert, under oath by an attorney. So I think the big government went with folks uh, folks that could probably withstand being overly scrutinized on cross examination. But again, for Cassie, I think the biggest issue there is definitely the settlement, as well as that surveillance footage. Okay. So, aftermath of the hotel incident, Ventura was asked if Combs was in rehab after the incident at the Intercontinental Hotel, and she replied that she did not know. She testified she doesn't remember a whole lot. What I've been curious about, though, Ali, I've been curious to find out um, who Diddy's going to call on the. It would be stupid. He has no business calling his kids on the stand. Obviously, it's stupid for him to take the stand. But I'm curious to find out who he calls to testify in his defense. Okay, so Cassie testified that she doesn't remember a whole lot about the aftermath of that incident, that she went to New York to do promotion for the movie she was in. The defense asked if she remembered Combs going to the Sedona after the Intercontinental Hotel incident. Ventura said he could have, and said at some point she went to Sedona to take a break from drugs and partying. I don't know. I was gonna comment about the drugs and the party. I'll leave it alone. Okay. So Ventura, okay, the defense and asked a number of questions about Ventura's prior testimony, including bringing up the person she knew who said he'd seen a sexual video of her, and when Combs had messaged her not to let him out of her sight. The defense referenced another incident where Ventura allegedly got into a fight with a woman at her brother's birthday party in Connecticut, and a text she sent Combs where she said she'd gotten into a bar fight and tried to kill a bitch. Okay, the defense then played a recording apparently of a conversation between Ventura and the man who said he'd seen the sexual video of her. On the recording, Ventura can allegedly be heard asking the man to show her the video, whether or not he had it on him or on his cell phone. That you wanted to see it, it's my life and I'll kill you, okay? Apparently, this is what she was saying. The recording continues with Ventura allegedly saying to that person, I'll cut you up and put you in a fucking dirt. Oh, I'll fuck you up and put you in the fucking dirt right now. I'm gonna kill you, and then he's going to kill you again. I've never killed anybody in my life, but I'll kill you. She allegedly accused the man of playing games with her, saying he saw something he was now saying he didn't. I'm not playing with you, Ventura allegedly said. She allegedly told him to be her brother. What? And tell her what he saw. I don't know what that means. But okay, so I wonder if they're going to call this individual to testify in Diddy's defense or not. All right, so reality show involving escorts. Ventura went on to testify she had a prior suspicion that someone was recording them. The defense brought up a reality television show that followed escorts. That's a show? Okay. And alleged that one of the escorts made comments on a picture of Combs. Ventura said she hadn't seen the show and did not remember. I don't know. Now I need to go look up the show. This is a reality show. The defense asked Ventura if she had wanted to make sure the escorts she hired were discreet. When Ventura said yes, I mean, it does make sense. Her credibility would have been shot if she answered in the negative. Okay. So the defense then spoke about the place where Ventura went for treatment, saying it treats sex addiction and something called love addiction. They asked if Ventura was treated for either of those during her stay, and she said no. Meanwhile, outside the courtroom, the courthouse itself was placed on a brief lockdown. No mention of, okay, so nobody knows why it was locked down, but it was. Question about her therapy. Questions then returned to Ventura's treatment and whether she understood it was for PTSD. Ventura said she did not do a lot of somatic experiencing therapy, but from what she recalled, it lets people complete a trauma that's been cut off, such as if you were being beaten up and couldn't walk out of the room. You could walk out of the room. It sounds like hypnosis to me, but what do I know? She was asked if that meant reimagining traumatic experiences, and she said yes. Ventura was asked what she meant by by testimony about still physically developing. She said she meant everything, including her brain and body, that every woman continues to develop after age 22. Okay. And then the judge had asked the jury to step out. With the jury out of the room, the judge asked both sides why there is some confusion about what is and isn't admitted into the evidence. I'm going to skip that part. Okay. Okay, so Ellie says smash the like button. Okay, for engagement. And while you're smashing that like button, smash the right, hit the subscribe button. Okay. Ellie says, sounds like Diddy should have got the freak out of these situations before the freak off began. I did not listen. Here's the thing, folks, kids, everybody's told to keep their hands to themselves. I think people need to start keeping their reproductive organs to themselves because I did. Some I don't want to be overly critical of the defendant or the defense, but I do question a lot of these allegations. And again, that said, right, there's a distinction between just having a different sexual appetite and coercing people into improper conduct. Okay, Okay, so again, the defense apparently got dragged or got accused of dragging out Ventura's testimony in order to trigger a mistrial. So prosecutors submitted a letter to the judge Friday morning accusing the defense of trying to drag out Ventura's time on the stand. The government respectfully submits this letter requesting that the court exercise its discretion to limit the defendant's cross-examination of Ms. Ventura if necessary to ensure that her examination concludes by the end of trial day today, May 16, 2025. The letter read in part, prosecutors say both sides agreed to wrap up her testimony Friday, but the defense has since filed more than 400 exhibits that appear to be a strategic choice by the defense that delayed the government's ability to lodge objections and predictability and significantly delayed the proceedings during the first day of cross-examination yesterday. So Allie, this goes back because we talked a little bit about Nicole Westmoreland, right? Because to me, as a defense tactic, I thought that the defense bringing on Westmoreland and what's the other guy's name again? Brian Steele. Brian Steele, I thought that was last minute. I do not think that they can contribute significantly to the defense. But, based on these allegations by the prosecution, I understand why they brought on Westmoreland because she is really the catalyst to um, it was not a mistrial, but she's the one that raised the objection in the YSL trial that pretty much led to all those plea deals, right? So I suppose I understand why they brought her on there. And from the perspective of Steele, I suppose they brought him on because he represented Young Thug, who is, a high profile celebrity or an A-lister. So I understand it from their perspective. But as far as the actual evidence is concerned, the actual presentation of testimony, I do not know that they can contribute significantly to the case. In any event, let us move on. Okay, so Ventura is 8.5 months pregnant with a third child and has been seen rubbing her stomach at times. Unrelated. But the one thing that I actually hated about pregnancy was, the baby kicking. I don't like that feeling. I don't like that feeling. So it's, I guess you have to rub your stomach to soothe the baby. But I don't like the feeling of having somebody moving inside of me. In any event, let us move on. The defendant should not now be afforded the opportunity to hold Ms. Ventura on cross-examination over the weekend, offering him an additional 2 days to review transcripts of the witness's testimony, to prepare additional cross-examination, inquiring, or risk a mistrial if the witness goes into labor. Prosecutors wrote in their letter. Ventura has been on the stand since Tuesday. I believe what I read is that she was on the stand for over 20 hours or close to 20 hours. That is a long time. Okay. And then the prosecution goes on to say that cross-examination that lasts multiple hours, longer than direct examination, is more than enough to vindicate the defendant's confrontation right and satisfy any relevant defense strategy. No more is required, and any more risks harassing the witness at best and a mistrial at worst, the prosecutors wrote, or they argued. Okay, so Ventura's testimony then continued with the defense team questioning her about continuing to communicate regularly with the defendant. Ventura said yes. She continued telling him the relationship was over. By that time, she was seeing her now husband, she said. Ventura said from her perspective, she and Combs were not together anymore, but she had dinner with him and went to her house with him. Okay. Um, mm, I've said this before. When I'm down with somebody, I'm down with somebody. Like I break up with a mama, I break up with the dog, the grandma, the fish, everybody. But not everybody is like that. Okay. Most people are better human beings than me. Okay, so Allie says Westmoreland, I think, is a bad. She's a badass. Okay, okay, really like her, but Steele and her were brought onto the defense case right before the start of this trial. I don't understand why. So last minute, it might be a strategy. Maybe defense is struggling with something, but unless they're to focus on, you know, a technicality, I understand why. But if it's really to focus on the substance of the case, I don't know. But then again, they could prove us wrong, right? Maybe she finds a red herring. I don't know. I have a lot of faith in Westmoreland. I love Westmoreland. Okay, so let us shout out to what's our guy, Allie? I'm forgetting. What's our guy? Shout out to all public defenders though. But what's our guy? Uh drawing a blank. Drawing a blank. All right, let us move on. Let us move on. Yeah, I just uh, uh I want to say that Cassie continuing to see Diddy might be problematic, but from the perspective of survivors of domestic violence, I understand it to some extent. I get it to some extent. Okay. All right. All right. Let us go move on to the rape allegations. Okay. So the defense asked Ventura about her recollection of the lawsuit and if she remembers stating that Combs forced himself onto her or into her apartment and tried to kiss her after dinner at an Italian restaurant in Malibu. She didn't remember the exact wording of her statement. She said, I don't remember the word forced, but maybe, Ventura said. She's then asked about meeting with investigators in November of 2023, shortly after filing the lawsuit alleging rape. Ventura said, actually, redirect would have been very interesting to watch of Cassie because I would have been interested in trying to figure out exactly what the prosecution's focus was on. Anyways, let us move on. Ventura said that Combs was acting strangely at dinner, but she didn't remember telling investigators he later seemed anxious or that she didn't think he was in his right mind. The defense showed an August 2018 text message allegedly from Ventura to Combs saying, hit me when you can. Okay, I think, hold on. I had to think about that for, I don't speak like that. But okay, so hit me when you can, I think is basically just saying, call me up, like hit me up, right? Apparently with a heart emoji. But she said she didn't recognize it. That sounds like, call me. I don't know that it says, hit me, beat me up. But I don't think that's what it sounds like. Uh, and I don't know that that is that much of an issue because Ventura has been clear that they've continued to have contact. I mean, they've gone to dinner. Okay. All right. So Ventura told the defense that the defendant used Frank Black. Okay. I guess that was his nickname, as some of the messages refer to FB. Okay. The defense showed Combs responded to Ventura's message saying he was trying to call her, but was getting sent to voicemail. Another message showed Ventura responded, I know I look bad to you. I could tell I didn't turn you on yesterday. Okay. All right. There's a sidebar, and the defense has Ventura clarify. She said in an April 2025 meeting, the alleged rape happened in August of 2018 and not September. Ventura was asked if she saw Combs the day before sending the last text message and the one with a heart emoji. I think so, she said. Ventura said she continued seeing Combs because of their 10-year relationship. When the defense asked Ventura if she still hates Combs, okay, she said, I don't hate him. I have love for the past for what it was, she said. So apparently she still has some love or affinity towards him. Okay, so more text messages between these people. The defense continued asking Ventura about text messages between her and Combs after the alleged rape. In one exchange, Ventura told him she heard he was in a romantic relationship with a yoga instructor. Combs said he is not dating or going out to dinner with anyone. Okay, so why does that matter? Ventura didn't seem to believe him, and Combs asked, who does she think he's dating? I actually need to stop even caring. Ventura's next text said, do you want to start dating? If you are, let's talk about it. Okay, so that was from Diddy. Apparently, Diddy was still open to the two dating. Later in the exchange, Ventura told Combs she chose her sanity over everything and that she's finally sleeping well and gaining weight. The defense attorney noted that Ventura did not say anything to Combs like, the last time we saw each other, you raped me. Okay, that is a good point. In the next text, Combs told Ventura he's not a stalker and that she could focus on her sanity. Ventura told him she'd rather talk in person and that she knows he's not a stalker. All right. Okay, so the defense asked Ventura if she saw Combs again on September 27 of 2018. She didn't remember, but said sure, when asked if a document refreshed her memory. The defense asked Ventura if she had sexual intercourse with Combs that night. I did, Ventura replied. She was asked if she received a FaceTime call while having sex with Combs, and she said she did. Ventura said she did not answer and that the caller ID showed that it was her now husband calling. She also said she didn't know if her husband knew she was with Combs that night. Okay, I would like to believe that the husband must have been prepped for what was likely to come. Even Cassie, I believe she must have been prepped for what was yet to come. I hope that I hope that this testimony or cross-examination was not the husband finding out for the first time that this woman was, I guess being bent over by Diddy while he was calling, because it sounds like they were dating at the time. This uh, this is some A-list stuff. This is not regular people stuff. Okay, so let us move on. Ventura said she later told her now husband that Combs raped her and that she believes he reacted by punching a wall. All right. And then the Kim Porter Memorial. So LB sure has been interviewed. I don't remember the outlet that interviewed him. That interview would have been, the algorithm has been pushing that interview. I refuse to watch that interview because I do not know that anything of substance is going to come out of that interview. In any event, my man shared a clip with me over the weekend, something along the lines of, or at least there's a conspiracy. I like a good conspiracy, but this conspiracy I'm not buying. The conspiracy is that folks around, people are claiming that these are allegations. The allegations or the conspiracy is that Diddy is poisoning people and folks around him have been dying of pneumonia. I mean, when I read Kim Porter, that's what it reminded me of. Because if I remember correctly from the clip, LB Sure's allegations are that uh, Diddy poisoned Kim Porter and that led to her demise. I don't know. I'm not getting in. I'm not getting into that mess. Anyways, let's move on. So Ventura said she continued communicating with Combs after having sex with him in September of 2018. She said the last time she saw Combs was at a memorial for Kim Porter, who died unexpectedly in November of 2018. And this was hosted in Georgia. The defense showed another text exchange between Combs and Ventura about her leaving the service. She told Combs she had to get to her grandma and that she was hurt when he posted Porter was his soulmate. Okay. Ventura, I suppose I understand that though, if you're still screwing this person. And this is even from the perspective of what is that? Woman is so chaotic. What is Will Smith's wife's name? Jada Pinkett Smith. I've seen interviews and accounts and reports of Pinkett claiming that Tupac was a soulmate. I'm like, woman, move on. You are semi-married. I know that she's all the way in, but she's like one foot in, the other foot out. She's somewhat married, has kids, and she's focused on a man that's been deceased for decades. Anyways, let's again, I do get my dating or relationship advice from what is this? Fannie Willis. I'm definitely not the one to talk about relationships. Okay, so let's move on. Let's move on. Anyway, so apparently she was hurt, you know, about Diddy saying that Porter was his soulmate. So Ventura said she didn't see Combs again after that, but that he has tried to get in touch in various ways since she got married. She wasn't sure if Combs had let her go, and then the court broke for lunch. Okay, there was some type of disturbance outside the courthouse. Okay, apparently a man threw eggs at photographers outside the courthouse. Okay, I mean, it's New York though. Okay, so the defense showed the jury text messages between Ventura and Combs after she was married. Sending you love and light, had a dream about you last night. What a difference a year makes. Apparently, this is what Diddy sent to Ventura. Have a blessed day, Ventura responded. Ventura told the defense she was pregnant at the time. In another text, Combs said, I just had, never mind, let's move on. in an, okay, let's move on. Let's move on. I'm focused on the wrong things. Okay. In another text, Combs said, I miss my best friend. Okay. Ventura responded, miss you too, and thank you. Adding she hoped he's taking care of himself and his family as well. Combs texted Ventura that her response meant a lot and his kids and mom are both okay. The defense asked Ventura if that's true throughout her relationship with Combs, that they were friends and she didn't always consider themselves romantic partners. Okay, so Ventura said that is, in fact, the case. We're honestly lucky to be alive. Another message the defense said was from Ventura, told Combs and here's the difference though. Reading the summary of the cross-examination does not have the same effect as actually hearing it from the horse's mouth. So that's a little bit what I mean by that is, as I was listening to Law and Crime recap Cassie's testimony and even the cross-examination, because I think on Friday they were talking about it or they were reporting on it as it was happening live. To me, it sounded like the cross-examination was damaging, right? Whereas when I'm just reading these responses, it does not have the same effect to me. So it would have been nice maybe in a few years the rules do in fact change and we can have a window as spectators. We can have a window into proceedings in federal court because to me here it just it doesn't have the same effect. All right, let us move on. So the defense showed basically a text exchange between Ventura and Combs, where Ventura told Combs that she doesn't hate him and that she wouldn't be at this point in her life if it wasn't for him. We're honestly lucky to be alive, Combs had texted, adding he also wanted closure and to talk. I cannot relate. He goes on to say that you deserve the world. I'm glad you found someone. I send this with respect for your marriage. And here's the thing, though: if you're married and you have moved on, why are you still corresponding with this individual? I just, again, I've said it before. I'm the type that holds grudges. I just do not. I don't understand it. I do not understand it. And I suppose the defense is bringing in this information in order to. Uh, that's kind of, to an extent, I understand why the defense is bringing these communications in, basically to undermine her rape allegations. But then again, there are a bunch of people that have gone on to have conversations, and even make amends with people that wronged them. I am not one of those people. So, yeah, I'm definitely not one of those people. Um, okay. So Ventura told the defense they didn't end up meeting when asked when asked what Combs meant by lucky to be alive. And she said, "We did a lot of drugs." That's what I figured. That's what I figured as well. And Ventura then testified about struggling with addiction, going through treatment, moving with a husband, a physical trainer, to a parent's house in Connecticut. She said the move was not for financial reasons. And here's the thing: both from the perspective of the defendant Diddy and the perspective of the alleged victim, in this case, Cassie, you kind of would have to be out of your mind to engage in a lot of the alleged conduct, right? Let's see. Ali saying, okay, for the text messages, if there's one thing you can almost guarantee in any trial, your text messages are gonna be read without a doubt. And you get caught and locked up for like, exactly. And that's why I've said over and over again, texting is not my thing. I rarely text. I don't Texting is not my thing. I just, and not even just texting. There are a whole bunch of anything that's in written form, anything that can be documented, be it a one of these work reviews, right? I worked at, I think that was my last public defender's office. They often send out, I think it was every 3 months or every 6 months, they sent out reviews to employees, right? It's one of these where you grade, you grade, what is this? You grade how your training was, how the office is, things of that nature. I don't fill that stuff out. The reason I don't fill that stuff out is because when somebody sends you a review, especially if it's from an employer, you're more inclined to give them positive feedback, even if you do have complaints. And the problematic part with that is these reviews may seem innocuous, but in the long run, let's say something happens where you have a dispute or you have um, an employment lawsuit down the line. They're going to bring that stuff up. They're going to say, oh, well, you gave us 5 out of 5 and you said you had no issues. And now you're saying that, or you're claiming discrimination, or you're claiming a wage dispute. I don't know. I just don't like document. I, I don't document stuff like that. So let us move on. Okay, so let's see. We have about 10 minutes, 10 minutes, and then I have to. Luckily, I'm all set. I'm gonna take my breakfast. I just have to put my clothes on. I might put on some mascara. I don't usually wear makeup, but I'm might do something. And then I have to do my hair and I'm out the door. Luckily, I only work 4 or 5 minutes away. Sometimes it can be 10, depending on traffic. But no, 10, that's an exaggeration. Maybe 7. Because sometimes the traffic's heavy and I'm not able to, uh find a break in traffic in order for me to get on the highway. But that's yeah, it's not going to be problematic. Anyway, so Ventura told the fans she was preparing for a music tour after moving to Connecticut in 2023. I don't actually remember Cassie's music. I know once upon a time she took on her style. I believe she had a shaved head on one side and like curls on the other. I don't actually remember her music. Okay, anyways, let's move on. So she was scheduled to go to Australia and New Zealand, but canceled once she settled her lawsuit with Combs. That is actually very big. The defense stated she was going to get 20 million in the settlement, and canceled because she no longer needed money. That wasn't the reason, Ventura said. Yeah, that is big. That is big. Okay. On redirect, there we go. Let's get into redirect a little bit. On redirect, Ventura told prosecutors. So I suppose what the defense is arguing is that she brought the lawsuit against Diddy for money, and once she got the money, she was squared away, and I suppose she was made whole, and she did not have to perform or work. Okay, so on redirect, Ventura told prosecutors there were times in her relationship with Combs when he was kind and loving, but they didn't last. Okay, Ventura said Combs' moods affected her whole life, or affected my whole life, my career, how I felt about myself, my self worth. She said if Combs wanted a freak off, then her work would have to take a back seat. I had to do freak off, she said. To prepare for a freak off, Ventura said she got herself ready from head to toe, got the room ready, and arranged escorts. She said Combs brought her into a world she didn't know or understand at the time. Here's the thing. I'll answer you. Answer you, not Ellie. Caught. It's just this, the freak off stuff. Listen, you do whatever you want to do with in your sexual life or your personal life, but there comes a point where if you are well off and you make money, I do not know that this is the type of uh, I don't know that this is the type of conduct you engage in, because there's just a lot at stake. As a teenager, I'm like, sure, who cares? You can do this stuff as a teenager. It's rare people are going to care or as adults, but I just I have a lot of questions. I have a lot of questions. Okay, so Alex says, are you going live this evening to cover the Karen Reed? So Karen Reed will stick to the Tuesdays and Thursdays. I wanted to come up here on Friday though because of Canoni's ruling. I did not watch everything, but I do get a sense of what I think Canoni was going to let that stuff in anyway. I was going to come up here and do a live reaction. I did not actually watch it I did not watch it at all. Uh, I think we do that tomorrow unless something really comes up. So for tonight, I'm not going to go live. I do plan on putting out a few shorts on Karen Reed tonight. Hopefully, I get to it. But that's my plan. Yeah, that is my plan. So for Karen Reed, I want to stick to Tuesdays and Thursday nights. Okay, so we have about 5 minutes. Let's see how much more we can get in here. Let's see. Okay, so Ventura was crying on the stand. Prosecutors asked her about the settlement with Combs over the rape lawsuit. After the defense suggested that she canceled a tour because of the money she received. So after filing my civil lawsuit, I was overwhelmed and couldn't continue at that point, Ventura said. I didn't want to be away from my kids at that time. Prosecutors said if she would return the money, if it meant she never had to experience freak offs. Crying Ventura said, I wouldn't have had to work so hard to get my autonomy back. She added Combs frequently suggested having freak offs when she had a urinary tract infection. Wow. And that he beat her more than once during them. Once, I cannot read. Anyways, so she added Combs frequently suggested having freak offs when she had a urinary tract infection, and that he beat her more than once during the freak offs. Ventura told prosecutors she felt like she couldn't refuse Combs' freak off request. She told prosecutors she was open to trying freak offs in the beginning of the relationship, but her openness changed over time. She said she tried refusing more than once, but she had concerns. I was worried for my safety, for my career, but I was also in love with him. So I worried he wouldn't want to be with me anymore, she said. I mean, that sounds like a real concern. Prosecutors ended their redirect examination and the defense started to recross. So Ventura said her music career changed after she started dating Combs. She said her music wasn't the same as when she started. I guess we're going to have to take a look at that music. Hard because I had to give him all my attention, she said. Combs told her to turn down opportunities and cancel obligations for free costs, she testified. She said she couldn't do many of the things she wanted to do because she had another job. Basically, a sex worker, she said. Ventura told prosecutors Combs continued making music, doing TV appearances, and traveling during this time, and that he was on drugs. After going over some text messages, Ventura told prosecutors she was trying to remove herself from the relationship in August of 2018. Prosecutors asked if she has any doubt Combs raped her. She said no. That's actually a very powerful testimony right there. Ventura told prosecutors she had consensual sex with Combs after she accused him of rape. The FaceTime call from her now husband happened during consensual sex with Combs, she said. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. On redirect, Ventura told prosecutors there were times in their relationship with Combs when he was kind, blah, blah. I already read that. Okay, let's see how we. Okay, so her testimony was over. Prosecutor asked Ventura if she had any pending lawsuits or financial stakes in the trial. She said no to both. Uh, they then asked, all right, Ali said hit that like button and subscribe. They then asked Ventura why she kept broken electronic devices. She said she didn't want to bring them into an Apple store because she feared what might be on them. That's actually pretty powerful there. The defense had another question for Ventura about an alleged settlement with Intercontinental. Prosecutors objected and she was dismissed. So that is, oh, okay. So she has a bunch of broken gadgets and she had fears of what might have been captured on those. Okay. So there's a special agent that was called to testify. Okay, so basically, she was the one that brought in testimony about the bags of Johnson's baby oil bottles. Oh my goodness. The confiscated, I suppose, freak of goods. Okay, and then we have the testimony from Dawn Richards. She testified that she had witnessed Diddy attack Cassie in the kitchen. I hate that. I hate that. So, Richards testified or told prosecutors that she saw Diddy get violent with Ventura at his home in Los Angeles. She said she was at Combs' home to record in his studio when it happened. Dawn said Ventura was cooking breakfast when Combs came downstairs asking, "Where are where the fuck are his eggs?" Like, really? Okay. And Richard said Combs grabbed the skillet of eggs and tried to hit Ventura with it. Ventura fell to the ground, but it didn't look like the skillet hit her, Dawn said. It was like she was anticipating getting hit. Ventura went into the fetal position and did not respond with physical force. He started to punch her and kick her. It kicked her body and head. Yeah, this is difficult testimony here. So, Ali, going back to your question about who the prosecution decided to call. Again, for Cassie, we're getting confirmation here that they're able to get testimony that from an independent party, okay? Because Don Richards, if I'm not mistaken, Alexa, stop. 5 more minutes and then I really need to go. But let me complete my thought. So to me, it sounds not even sounds like Don's testimony is definitely corroborating Cassie's testimony, okay? And it sounds like Don is independent, has no dog in this fight. So again, just from a prosecution perspective, you do want to have corroborated testimony, especially in this case, considering that to some extent, Cassie may have been a willing participant in the free cuffs. I mean, that is the part of her testimony where she says initially she did it in order to pleasure her man, and then it sounds like she didn't want to do it anymore. So as far as the what is this? the lawsuit, the $20 million, Don's corroboration definitely matters to the prosecution's case. Um, let's see. Let's get back here. My alarms are just going crazy, but that's because I do in fact have to head on out. I do have to head on out. All right, so let us end here. I definitely need to get going. What is this? Okay, I'm getting another email from work. All right, so all right, we will be back tomorrow morning, and I'm gonna trial this thing. I'm gonna trial this thing um during the mornings because usually I'm out here reading because my kid goes to school very early. I'm out here reading or, just doing random things. Sometimes I'm cleaning. So I will reconvene tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Eastern time. We'll try for a week and then we'll see if we proceed to do it every morning or if we spit or if we pick specific times. Big shout out to Ellie and Junior Co-Counsel. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Shout out to the replay crew. Okay. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. And then let's see how today's testimony goes. Because I think Don is still on the stand. Yeah, I think Don is still on the stand today, unless I'm just really mistaken. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you, Allie. I appreciate the support. All right, folks. Let's get going. Let's see what's happening today. Today is what? The 18th? No, it's not the 18th. It's the 19th. Yeah, it's the 19th. All right, let me get going. Let me get going. I hope you have a fantastic day, Allie. I'll see you tomorrow. And as I said, I'm going to put out some shorts today. I'm going to schedule them though. So maybe I'm going to schedule them. So maybe I start scheduling them either tonight or tomorrow morning. So yeah, I'm gonna start scheduling the shorts. I'm just not sure as to the times. Maybe around 10 p.m. Eastern time, or maybe around the lunch break tomorrow, because usually a lot of people do watch YouTube during their lunch breaks. All right, that's enough rambling, girl. I'm off. I'm off. I'm off. Shout out to Junior Co-Counsel. Have a good day.